And we are ready to begin. Hey, everybody. This is LioConvoy with the ThunderCast, and I'm here with my big home dog, Marmaduke. Want to say hi, Marm?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on, Lyle.
All right. So, thank you to everybody who's decided to join us. I see us three so far waiting. I see my good man, Joey Michaels, in the chat. Ho to you too, sir. See you there, Jeremy. Hateful. I see you up in there. Storm Blitz. Want to go ahead and give a shout out to Comic Basics and Jeff Scott, who runs that website, for always supporting us, as well as my three patrons on Patreon, Avis, Mega Umi, and Hateful, who is also in the chat tonight. How's it going, Couch Boys? Glad to see you here. Before we get into, hello, Jonah Hearts. Before we get into the main topic here, I want to go ahead and have some fun here. A while ago, we had an announcement for an art contest about redesigning the ThunderCats. Now, I had only 3 submissions, unfortunately, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to have some fun. We're going to look through them, and then I'm going to announce the winners for it. So hopefully you guys are ready for that. What do you guys say?
Let's do it.
All right, so see if I can get screen share to work properly. That's not the right thing. Ha-ha. Ha-ha. All right, chat, I want you to tell me if you can see this, because unrehearsed, we got to do it live. We got to do it live.
I can see it.
Rad. Okay, so this is from a gentleman who goes by the moniker of Aquamarine. They're not completely finished, but here's his designs for Chitara. Got to get on the right screen. Chitara. Tigra.
Ooh.
Lion-O.
Huh.
Panthro. Jaga. And Mumra.
Nice. I like the full armor and kind of like the slight Japanese inspiration, but not like 100% Japanese. I kind of dig it.
I do too. There seems to be something I'm missing here. Where is Snarf?
You cannot have ThunderCats without Snarf.
Correct. I don't know why it didn't show in the scroll. You get back here. I don't know why it didn't show in the scroll, but here is his Snarf. Get over here.
Oh, he's got a mustache.
You got a mustache, and it looks like he has a little chef hat.
Yeah.
So, what I do like about this, can you submit OT? What is OT? Anywho, we'll get back to that in a second. What I like about it is I do like the fact that he has a general motif for his designs. They're all very much so based on samurai yoroi. But what I would recommend in the future is study proper yoroi properly. Find out what parts go where and what their function is. That way you can incorporate it a little bit better. One of the keys to developing proper fantasy, both in armor and story building, is by looking at reality. You see a lot of these original creators, they pull from their own experience. So if you're creating armor for these characters, you want to make sure it's armor that has some sort of function for the most part and jives well. So these are good attempts. Very, very good on first draft. I can see the cohesiveness of the outfits, and I like it. So we're going to go ahead and close that out and close out his other snarf. Well, let's see here. We're going to go back. We're going to cover William Goats. All right. So here is William Goats Chitara. He gives a little bit of details for why he has them like this. Now, his are a little bit more animalistic in their designs, as you'll see here shortly. How's it going, Jeb Jam? Then we have his Jaga. Here we are with basic character body types without any clothing on, as a nod to the first episode, of course.
I mean, I like that they all have a really distinct cat-like element to them, because that is an element of the original designs. It's just sort of a different spin on it.
Jonah, if you want to submit yours, you're more than welcome to, but unfortunately the deadline for the contest is passed.
You do more than one of these contests though, right?
Oh yeah, I do multiple contests. This is the second one I've done in this past year.
So stick around LioConvoy's channel for more chances in the future.
Yeah. Here's his design for Lion-O.
I like the claw on that one.
I do too. I really like the claw. Here's his design for Mongor, which is just absolutely wicked. And let's see here. Here's his Panthro.
They're very straightforward, and I like that. It feels very kind of like real and down to earth. Like this would be very practical clothing for them.
It would be. Let's see here, and here is his Snarf. Now, I think it's interesting that he decided to make Snarf some sort of animal hybrid that spits venom. The hind legs on it are a little odd to me because I'm not used to hind legs operating like forearms.
Okay, yeah, he's bringing more of a snake element into it because Snarf has that snake-like undertail, huh?
Yeah. So here's what I like about these, right? I like the fact that what he's going for here is very clearly a Roman Greco style of dress for the character. So with the first one, we saw a samurai motif. With this one, we're seeing a Roman motif.
Yeah.
Hence how Jaga here is dressed, and Lion-O's armor with his cuirass and his groin armament and the shin armor. So I like that cohesion. A little bit more detail would probably be better. The only one that sticks out to me as needing a lot more detail is Panthro here because of how simple the outfit is comparatively. So these are all good designs. I do like them. Just tweak it a little bit here. The last guy on here we had, Aquamarine, his biggest problem was he didn't finish everything. So we're going to go ahead and put them aside for now. Snarf, snarf. And we're going to go into Corley Butler's. And here is his Chitara.
All right. Now, are those leggings on the bottom?
I don't know if they're leggings. I'm guessing they're skin.
Okay, yeah, because I can see some of that tone in her upper torso, actually, now that I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
He's really retaining the idea of kind of like the skin, their skin tone, adding like a cat-like element, like, the eyes and face shape. They all have that.
Absolutely. Here's his Snarf. Now, a little nod here. I like the fact that they gave Snarf the satchel that the ThunderCats use in the second season of the series when they go back to New Thundera.
Yeah.
Here's his design for Lion-O. I dig it. I really like the cape. The cape's also a callback to the Snowman of Hook Mountain when Lion-O wore that in that and the Anointment Trials. And for all of you 2011 ThunderCat fans, if you take a good look at his outfit here, the designs for the cloth or chest piece is very similar to the 2011 one. So this is a really good in-between mix, and I like it. I really do. Then we have Jaga here with the Book of Omens. And for the most part, these characters are keeping their color palettes, right? Yeah. And here is Panthro. Panthro is wearing what's very clearly a modified karate gi. I like that. I also like that his armor is very practical for what he does. Yeah. Hence the shin guards and the arm guards.
And even like the spikes on his torso, like the spikes have been removed, but the jagged rips in it evoke the idea of it. So it almost it captures the shape of his old look while making it work as a gi. Absolutely.
Now, here's the lineup of all the characters, and you see the villain he's got on the side there. We're about to go to him in a minute, but they're very cohesive. This has a very there's more of a Western feel in terms of like European outfits. So every single person here has been on the same wavelength of giving them an outfit that evokes a certain martial community, right? So here is his hammer hand.
Nice. I like this hammer hand more than the show's hammer hand.
I like it too. I really like it because he definitely looks a lot older, but he also looks like somebody you don't want to scrap with. And his arm has so much more detail to it. I need to find out where the Tigra went because where'd you go, Tigra?
I saw him in the lineup.
I did too.
Tigra there he is. Beard. Yeah.
I missed him somehow. Yeah. One thing I really like about Corey's work here, other than the fact that he seems to be the more refined of all of them. And he did a speed paint of this, by the way, that will be going up probably after the stream's down because he has it unlisted, and I'm going to get him to list it. But what he's done is he's very good at character design in the sense that I can look at these characters and I can pick out their personalities here.
Right.
Like I'm guessing this tiger would probably be a little bit more easy to irritate just by how he's presenting himself here. Chitara very much so is a very strong warrior woman, which is always something I'm fond of. Snarf is always trying to be helpful. You can see that by the look in his eyes and his body posture and the fact that he brings a bag. Lion-O, he's gonna be young, he's gonna be cocky, but he's gonna be fully aware of his leadership role. And Jaga, definitely the old guy spouting wisdom from the book. That's how he rolls. And Panthro, well, we just don't dick with Panthro. Now, let me go ahead and where did I put that? Aha! going to go ahead and kill the screen share. How do I do that? There. Now, for those of you wondering who won, I'm going to put it to you this way. Aquamarine, you won 3rd place. So you're going to get a Loyal Subjects ThunderCat figure. If you tell me the name of your favorite ThunderCat after this, and then shoot me your address, I'll send one right your way. 2nd place, which wins the entire assortment of the Savage World ThunderCats, that is going to be William Goat for his designs. And 1st place that wins the UK hardback ThunderCats annuals is going to be Corey. So congratulations to all of you. I hope to see more of you in the future when I do more contests, and they are coming. So keep that in mind. Keep your eye on the channel. I love doing contests. I love getting art from people and displaying it. I will be putting all their information in this description bar once I make sure I know where to connect it to, because I don't want to just send you to random accounts that they might use for something else. I want to be able to connect you to their art, because I like supporting what little of the ThunderCats community is actually active. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into this. So let's start with our discussion of the episode Tower of Traps. Marmaduke, what are your thoughts on this episode?
I really like it for a few reasons. Like, number one, the moral of the story kind of ties into the action adventure side of the story, and I like how Lion-O is very immature in the opening scenes, and he like does this joke like, "Oh no, I'm drowning. I have a cramp. Help, save me, Snarf." And then Snarf says, "You have a mean streak in you." And what I like about that is it's still emphasizing his youth and immaturity, and he's immediately thoughtful about that. And then throughout the adventure, he keeps having mean tricks played on him, so it makes sense at the end why he's kind of like learned his lesson.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat. Not just the lesson aspect of it, but what I enjoy about ThunderCats is, despite what some people may assume or think, there's a lot of character introspection that they all do in their own ways. And in this case, Lion-O's like, well, my introspective moment is, this is a guy who cared about me, who freaked out because he thought I was in danger. What I just did was really mean. I mean, did I think it was funny at the moment? Sure, but if you want to play a prank on somebody, like if you're doing that to like your mom or your dad, don't play a prank on them that makes them worry about your safety. Do a prank on them that's going to be received in a funny way, not one that's going to seem really mean-spirited. And I think that gives a subconscious message to the children at home about that. But this episode had a lot of lessons into it. So
yeah, interspersed throughout. And it's also interesting for being like one of the first opportunities for like Wily Kit to really go on an adventure like with Lion-O without Wily Cat there for most of it. So I thought it really built her character up. It really both of the Thunder Kittens. It gave a lot of insight into their brother-sister relationship too.
It did. And I do like the fact that it's always Wily Kit that gets the short end of the stick. So another thing you find out about is there were these gargoyles that had been just randomly assaulting people for years on the side of the road. Real quick, Corey Butler. Yes, thank you for doing that. As soon as this is over, I'll throw it in the channel description for you, and I'll get that listed up for you. So I like the fact that they also deal with the impact of greed and what greed and paranoia will do to you. Because that's something I don't see touched on too much, even in modern cartoons. You might see a little bit of a nudge here or there, but more often than not, they don't address them directly like that. And it gets very ghastly when they open Baron Carnor's treasure chamber and there is a literal corpse.
Yeah.
Sitting in a chair that they did not censor. They did not do any of that. They were ballsy about it, and I think it gets the point across very well.
I want to ask you this. Was there a fear of the word death in children's cartoons this early on? Because I knew there was in the early 90s. I just noticed that Wily Kit said he isn't alive instead of he's dead.
Yeah, there were some words you were not going to be able to say. I don't know if that was so much a I don't know if that was a legitimate reason as far as a legal reason or the FCC put a kibosh on it, but there were fears of using that word directly.
Yeah. Maybe one thing to call attention to that I don't want us to forget is when Wily Kit and after Wily Kit and Lionel are separated, she sees like this hall of the giant blades swinging back and forth, and her line is, "I wouldn't ask you to do this for me, Wily Cat, but you do it without my asking." And then she goes through. What I love about that is that was a really heroic, self-sacrificial moment for Wily Kit, and it's rooted in the fact that she loves her brother and she knows her brother loves her. So it's actually a character building moment for both of them.
Absolutely, and it was very good. Let's see here. Transformers kill. Yeah, that was in the movie theaters, Jonah. They had different regulations they can follow when doing movies. Take it easy, Corey. I know that you were on break. Sorry, this is just when we do the podcast. But here's the interesting thing. Like looking at the show notes for this episode, Leonard Starr is the writer of it, right? And this is his comment. He says, sometimes a villain can be an aspect of nature or a construction that Lion-O has to fight. The same rules apply. He has to fight it on his own. It's like dealing with a gorilla. There's no recourse. And he says gorilla as in guerrilla warfare, not the animal. You can't use your intellect or anything else. You have to be as clever as you can to avoid it and survive it. Wow. It's the same with hurricanes and earthquakes and that kind of thing. It's just another obstacle. The idea was to have as interesting an episode as is possible, and we did that, and we did it whenever we could to achieve that. Children like to be frightened. We did have frightening elements from time to time, but we had to be very careful because there was a code in children's program that you couldn't go too far in those directions. And I think that personally, they did a good balance of that. You had the dead body, which shows, this dude was so paranoid of his treasure being stolen that he died around it without any reason why he had to, because he was so obsessed with it. And long after he's been dead, these things are still mugging and terrorizing the people of Third Earth.
Speaking to the children like to be frightened, I thought it was interesting how every room, they almost always get outsmarted somewhat, down to the very end, really. Like Wily Kit throws a what is it, like a tapestry, and she sees the lasers fire, and then she thinks she knows the trick, so she starts rolling across the floor low, but then a trap bumps her right up into the line of fire, right? So every time they think that they've figured out what the robber baron has planned for them, there's a trick within the trap that they haven't anticipated, and so that adds extra drama for both of them continually, like down to the very end, where even his room where he invites them in, enter, has the recording trap.
Mm-hmm. Real quick, and address the chat here. Joey Michael's in the chat. He runs a group called ThunderCats Culture, and it is the place for the hardcore collectors. Like, they got some wild people in there. Joey just recently picked up the actual staff used book for the first 60 or 70 episodes that talks about the morals and synopses for all the episodes. This was something that was traded within the studio to get things across. So I just wanted to go ahead and give him a shout out here. But
can we have Joey on the ThunderCast?
Well, again, we'll talk about that here shortly. But Jay Fernstein, I think that is what the Goonies ran into with One-Eyed Willie, but in a bit more of a comical way. With this, the episode's morals are, number one, be careful what tricks you do play on to whom they are played. And secondly, oh my God, don't wind up like Baron Carnor, because not only did his evil affect him, it affected everybody else. And it also ties into the overarching theme of the ThunderCats, where they're there to break the cycle of evil that's been embraced with Third Earth. Let's see here from Storm Blitz. Quick question. Well, more of a passing info. There's going to be a special lunar. Okay. I'll keep that in mind while I probably sleep through it. Now, do you have any other thoughts on this episode, Marmaduke?
Do the alien, what are the friendly alien creatures who kind of had like the nice, they almost were like hobbits, or I almost thought they were like a Jewish analog, that the people who were having the wedding, what are they called?
I believe that in this episode, they are the Wolos.
Wolos, right. I think I've seen them show up again. I don't know. I'm just kind of interested in them as just another little world building aspect. It's another, friendly, peaceful tribe, but with that with that kind of very Tolkien-esque vibe to their clothing and culture. I think it's nice to see sort of just like this friendly, down-to-earth side of the universe, as well as the adventurous side of the universe.
Well, the funny thing is, you say Tolkien-esque. Well, there's a reason for that, and it's not just because ThunderCats is fantasy. Do you know the reason?
Well, because of their connection to they were the studio who did the Tolkien cartoons. Yeah,
some of them at least. So yeah, so I think it's interesting that aesthetic stuck with the studio for over a decade when they made this other cartoon that wasn't related to Lord of the Rings at all. And like, we really like this aesthetic. We're going to keep it in this cartoon. And the Wolos seem to have a middle ground to where they have aspects of their culture that's very, very Hebrew, but other aspects of their culture that's very Hispanic. So it's going to be interesting to see how they operate when you look at them. And that's one thing I really liked about ThunderCats. They did really good world building in terms of the diversity of characters and creatures they had to interact with. There were the warrior maidens, the Berberals, the Wolos, the Balkans, a whole slew of these different things. And they didn't look down on any of them. So I really appreciate that on that end, not just from the writing staff, but as a whole, because that just shows me where their values were.
One last little thing I noticed, Wile E. Cat, after being kidnapped for the whole episode, they gave him one awesome moment where he like had a rope around one of the gargoyles and then dropped the gargoyle off the side of the tower and smiled, and then they cut away.
Yeeted him out of existence.
And it's in contrast to Lion-O, who wrestles with them, and Panthro, who lifts them up. They always keep that in mind in the fight choreography, that they have different personalities and perspectives on how to fight.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. And the funny thing is, you find out later on in the series, that's not the only time you're going to see these type of gargoyles. You see them in the second season too, and you find out not so much directly, and probably not to the intention. They were probably just reusing design assets, but they themselves don't seem to be specifically aligned to good or evil. They just do what they're programmed to do. Huh. That actually falls into another episode called Hachiman's Honor in the second season, which you really need to get to the second season, dude. It's fantastic. But with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and talk for a little bit. We did it a little bit out of order this time. We're going to talk about the character Captain Bragg.
Wait, I thought it was Captain Shiner.
Or not Captain. I'm sorry, that guy's on my mind. Yes, Captain Shiner. I really don't want to talk about Bragg. I don't like him. But yeah, Captain Shiner.
A cartoon dog with a monocle.
I don't know if he is a dog or not. Oh my goodness! Have you seen his action figure? It looks like a scrotum.
Huh. Well, I mean, he didn't look that good in the cartoon either. But all his underlings were bulldogs. So
I don't know. But what are your thoughts on the character as a whole, Marmaduke?
It was interesting because of what a expectation twist it was. Like, they set you up with, Mumra's got this evil plan. They're in outer space for the first time in a while. It's like this great, pirate adventure in space. And you think, okay, he's a bad guy. I've got this figured out. And then they do this twisteroo where it's like, oh, now there's like a completely different bad guy. And now they got to work with Captain Shiner to get out of it. So I enjoyed seeing like a kind of an evil mercenary who is willing to kill them, being forced to work with them and actually show his noble side towards the end of the episode. And I was interested to learn that the ThunderCats can breathe in space.
Yeah. There's some question about that, because clearly they can't breathe underwater. So the idea is for ThunderCats and Silverhawks that there's some sort of atmosphere in space.
Yeah.
Real quick on here, Storm Bliss wanted to know if there were any villains in ThunderCats that could have beaten them with no effort. I don't think any of them really could have done it with no effort, because even without using the sword's magic at all times, most of them weren't really a match for the ThunderCats in general. So not really sure, but Captain Shiner is a very interesting character, because what you see about him is he's a very strong character in the sense of his characterization. And what I mean by that is whenever Lionel called him, they're pirates, mercenary, if you please. He's proper. He's not insulting in the way you expect a villain to usually be. It's very clear to the viewer, Shiner's allegiance isn't to good or evil as they are. It's to whoever can pay him the most.
Right.
Because the man's got a business to run. So,
and he's ruthless in that business, but he's not needlessly evil. Like he wouldn't just like kill Lion-O just for the fun of it. He puts Lion-O to work in a room where Lion-O will probably die because he's a ruthless he's a ruthless mercenary. But that doesn't translate into him being a needlessly cruel or like a mustache twisting kind of character.
No, and he's got a lot of charisma, and I really do love his voice. It's actually fantastic. But
Yeah.
I also have to point out here, how desperate are you to get rid of a weapon that you literally try to chuck it into a black hole? that takes some like underwater chess fifth dimension dynamics to try to even come up with that type
well,
of
I didn't know how they were going to get out of that one. I thought, gee, unless like the Sword of Thundera can like manipulate universes or something. I thought they were in trouble for a while.
Oh, well, it has some crazy powers. You'll find out about that later on. This is just the first season you're in. But what I find
this episode's season 2, actually. I jumped ahead.
Oh, good. Actually, no, that's Sword in the Hole is not season 2. That's still season 1.
Really? Okay, then YouTube lied to me. They listed as season 2, so maybe they just divide up the episodes weird.
Yeah, they do divide it up weird. Just so you're aware, I'll give you a list of what season 1 and season 2 shortly. But you find out later on in season 2, matter of fact, the opening of season 2, that Captain Shiner assembled his crew again and winds up doing a couple of jobs for Mum-Ra during that. Doesn't end so well for poor Captain Shiner, but his viewpoints and his ideas, you find that sometimes you can't really change somebody, no matter how well you treat them or how good you are. So Shiner, regardless, has he's still like, you know what? I'm still going to get paid. I'm still going to make money. You want me to come over there, Mum-Ra, and kidnap a Snarf or whatever? Sure, let's do that. I need to get paid. And he winds up regretting it for not quite the reasons people would think. But Shiner, I find to be a very fascinating character because very rarely, especially in 80s cartoons, just due to worrying about censorship and whatnot, very rarely were there morally gray characters. And for the most part, between you and me, we wouldn't see Shiner as gray necessarily. That's due to our theological value systems. But in terms of writing, Shiner's a gray character. If the ThunderCats were able to outbid Mum-Ra, Shiner would have no problem selling Mum-Ra out to the ThunderCats.
Yeah.
And that's what I find interesting about him. He also has that class. He's got that very interesting accent that you can't quite place where it is. So I find him to be a very interesting character. Also, he's one of the most expensive toys in the toy line.
Well, what could he run you? Just approximately.
Complete, sometimes around 120.
Okay.
And just his gun alone sometimes fetches 80.
Because none of the kids liked him, right? They all threw away that toy. So now
I think it was because it was in like the second or third wave, and that light wave just didn't get collected as much. That's the reason why a lot of the season 2 characters are a lot pricier on eBay. But I'll send you a picture of his action figure. And you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Okay, we should pull this up like live stream.
All right, I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and pull it up. Let me go ahead and do the search here. Captain Shiner toy. He's got a very interesting. And also, real quick, he was designed by Jim Meskimen. Jim Meskimen was a character designer on ThunderCats. He wanted more so to be an actor. So that's what he's currently doing now. If I'm not mistaken, he actually wrote one of the episodes for the 2011 series. Let's see here. Design. I know I'm kind of talking to myself, but...
Oh, I think I see it. I just Googled it. Oh, it's hideous. Oh, my gosh. You got to pull this up.
I'm going to. Just let me... Oh, come on. And there's Captain Shiner. Look at that face.
He's great in the show. Why did they do that? Why would you make that face bright pink and flesh colored?
Well, I'm more worried about the fact that he literally looks like a testicle.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know, but it's hilarious and he's valuable. So I hope everybody enjoyed that little tangent.
And I get okay. I was wondering what was up with one of his eyes. That was supposed to be his monocle. All right.
Yeah. Real quick, gonna address the chat here. Shiner regrets not getting paid for. Yeah, I would too, considering he got shot into deep space afterwards. The most expensive Thundercat toy, Couch Boys. I don't know how to quite qualify that. Joey might know a little bit better if he's still in the chat. It depends on the figure. There are some. It depends on a lot of things, whether on card, in box, whatever. There's things that go a lot higher. Like if you were to get the Driller or the Stinger on card, that can sometimes run you into thousands. The Stilt Walker alone can run you into thousands. So can the Tongue Lashosaurus. It's a mess. Let's see here. Carl says a fusion between a testicle, a hamster, and Dr. Eggman. Fantastic. Let's see here. I'm glad I gave Jonah Hart some nightmare fuel. Jay First, he says that would frighten him next time he pisses. Stormblitz says this is out of this. I don't know Kingdom Hearts very well. I couldn't tell you. Leopardon versus the Thunder Tank. Jonah, you can't really do that. You can't do that to us. Leopardon cannot be defeated, but the Thunder Tank is the Thunder Tank. I mean, why not just combine? All right, so
I love how Jeremy Soffin missed some of the chat and then came right back in as we were showing Shiner. Like, what did I miss? Question mark.
Okay, so notes on Captain Shiner. Captain Shiner is the mercenary of the ThunderCats universe. Piloting his huge space vessel, the Virtus, he has a large crew at his disposal and travels the universe looking for paid missions. Neither truly good nor evil, he proves to be a notable Thundercat foe in their first encounter in Bill Overguard's Season 1 adventure, Sword in a Hole. Overguard offered the following script description of the character. Camera pans up, holding Snarf's viewpoint, taking in the towering figure of a World War I Prussian officer's uniform. So that's where his uniform is from. That's interesting. Most arrestingly, he wears a mirror of a monocle, and he turns his head down towards Snarf. The monocle sends out a blinding flash of light for one numbing second. This is Captain Shiner. Having been commissioned by Mumra to lure the Thundercats to the Veritas in his debut adventure, Shiner is forced to enter a black hole and companion the Thundercats on their quest to escape its clutches. Having jettisoned himself from the right Virtus in an escaped vehicle, he presumably rebuilt the vessel by the time of his subsequent appearance in ThunderCats Ho, where he was utilized by Mumra to transport Thunderian slaves to Fire Rock Mountain. So I think it's interesting. They have full bios of these characters. They understand their dynamics. I wish we would have seen more of him, but probably takes him a while to come back from deep space. So yeah. Any other thoughts on what you've seen so far of Captain Shiner?
My comment will be they have a lot of good characters and mythos to draw from. What I love Samurai Jack, and what I love about Samurai Jack is the sheer variety of it. And ThunderCats has that sheer variety to it, where you could tell any type of story. And I think it kind of puts in perspective, what the potential for a reboot could be. You could tell any kind of story in this universe. You could have like the Thundercats be like guest stars in a universe full of all of these kinds of strange characters they came up with. So I really hope, I don't know, maybe in a few years we'll get a proper reboot that's kind of like a good spiritual successor to what this cartoon was.
I hope so too. See here. Joey Michaels, thankfully he's still in the chat, says two of the rarest ThunderCats items are a sealed Thunder Tank, which I didn't even know. I thought those were fairly common, but clearly they're not. And Stilt Walker. Stilt Walker, I can attest to that thing being very uncommon and very expensive, because even a broken one can fetch $200 to $300. Goodness. So let's see here. Stormblitz wants to know if we can combine any other vehicle or weapon with the Thunder Tank, what would we add?
Well, since it's such a great 80s cartoon, I want to see the Thunder Tank as a full-fledged mecha. Like and they can only use it for one episode. Like for one episode, they'd have the Thunder Tank turn into a mecha, and then like it'd get like destroyed, and Panther would say, "Man, it's going to take me years to build another one like that."
Okay. Go full Gurren Lagann with it, huh?
Yep. Or Voltron, but that was kind of like another, classic 80s show that actually it sounds like it got a pretty decent reboot, even though I haven't caught it yet.
I haven't caught up on that either, but there's some funny thing is the original Voltron shares some animation staff with the original ThunderCats.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it goes wild. So let's see here. Okay, Sealed Thunder Tank. Yeah, Joey, you're right. Let's see here. Just for future reference, Stormbliss, we tend to just speak mostly to ThunderCats on this podcast. You're welcome to ask me any other question on any other live stream, but we're trying to stay on topic here. Always value your viewership. Just wanted to make that a little bit clear. So with one thing about Captain Shiner I do need to note is apparently he has a much larger role in stories in general, specifically in the UK ThunderCats comics. So once I get all of them and I'm able to read all of them, and oh my goodness, they're not easy to find when you get into later issues.
Wow.
I will be able to give full character descriptions. Yes, Jonah Arts, I agree. Gowl Guy Thunder Tank would be my jam. And no, Aquamarine, there was never a crossover between ThunderCats and Voltron. ThunderCats have only had the following crossovers. They had a crossover with Battle of the Planets, a.k.a. Gatchaman and G-Force, back in the early 2000s. 2 versions of that crossover. They had a crossover with Superman around the same time. And they've had a crossover with He-Man. Those are the only crossovers the ThunderCats have officially had. I'm only fond of one of those crossovers.
The Gatchaman one?
Yeah, the Gatchaman one was really solid. Yes, Shelly D, I understand. Thunder Tank is your literal wife. As a matter of fact, if it was a Thunder Tank painted like Rainbow Dash, I'm sure you would drive it everywhere. Thank you for joining us.
Put the peach crown on the Thunder Tank and turn it into a beautiful
babe. No! We leave that demonic thing back in 2018. How dare you? Okay, so Captain Shiner out of the way. Let's go ahead and jump into Wildstorm ThunderCats number 5.
I love this issue. It's my favorite one in the whole series so far.
It's freaking rad, isn't it?
And my question is, did this end on a cliffhanger forever, or did they ever finish it?
It goes into the next storyline, and that's when things get a little worse. But
all right,
a little bit of a synopsis for the chat here. The comic opens with Mum-Ra having resurrected Groon in his actual physical body. So Groon is no longer a ghost, to the point to where he demonstrates to Groon by producing his Thundranium mace that it will hurt him now that he's a corporeal being.
Yeah.
So he hands Groon his original mace and the Sword of Plundar. Jago awakens Lion-O in the middle of the night, letting him know that he's now going to disappear forever, thinking that Lion-O has everything handled and won't need his advice anymore. And Groon shows up on the Cat Slayer doorstep and challenges Lion-O to a duel to the death to determine who would be the Lord of the ThunderCats. They meet, they fight, Lion-O wins, and then Lion-O goes into the Book of Omens for 5 years worth of training that's only supposed to take 1 day. So, with the synopsis out of the way, I have to say the art by Ed McGuinness is always great. I have my nitpicks, but far less than what I'm dealing with right now going through the ThunderCats He-Man crossover. The only major nitpick I really have is I wish he'd draw the Sword of Plundar properly. And I think it's a weird weapon combination.
It may not have been Ed McGuinness's fault, because this one was penciled by Ed McGuinness and Joe Phillips, who I've looked up Joe Phillips, and I couldn't discern where like one art began and the other ended. What's interesting if you Google Joe Phillips is it's a lot of like gay pride art, but they worked together on this issue. So maybe it wasn't our boy Ed who drew the sword wrong.
I just find it odd, but I always enjoy. I just really love Ed's style because of how, for lack of a better word, how blocky it is.
Right.
Real quick, Eric Johnson, I'd say She-Ra is more 80s because they have bigger glam hair. So I appreciate his artwork. I appreciate the coloring. I appreciate what they were doing so far with the story, because I think they were really going to go somewhere. But unfortunately, as you'll find out in the next ThunderCast, they get dark real quick. Yeah. And that's not really the direction I care for. The art in the next story is really good, but that's the only thing I can say is really good. I like that in this, you see Lion-O have to do something that is, number one, really uncomfortable for him as a person, because Lion-O's never done the whole duel to the death thing.
Yeah.
the only real duels he has had were supposed to be either first blood or just to satisfy honor, like in the episode Excalibur. But this is clearly to the death. Grun's talking a lot of smack, and Lion-O has to show, without anybody's help, that he is capable of defeating Grun.
Yeah.
And he does so.
As a whole, you know, issue 5 in particular, in the series as a whole so far, they touch on they touch on the mature themes in the ThunderCats cartoon without pushing it beyond kind of like its PG roots, right? So it feels fitting for Lion-O to, you know, vanquish his foe, give his foe the chance to walk away, and then knock back his foe, and then seemingly kill his foe. You know, no body, no case, but it allows Lion-O to kind of survive and come out of a life or death fight without losing, you know, the core of who he is.
Now, I will say I think Grun's dead, but honestly, that's never stopped him before. So we don't see him going forward on this. But
we're cool spoiling a comic from like 2011, right?
Yeah. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't cover it like this.
Yeah, right. So what I really digged about this was, just as I was kind of like feeling, oh, okay, Lion-O kind of beat Grun pretty easy. You know, and then out comes Mum-Ra, and what I love about this is it's really taking seriously the idea of an immortal villain and what an immortal villain would be capable of. Because right as I thought, man, Lion-O did that really easy, then Mum-Ra explains that all he has to do is give Lion-O challenges that he knows Lion-O can conquer, and then Lion-O will feel like he's beaten Mum-Ra and leave Mum-Ra alone, while Mum-Ra prepares to conquer their civilization, because he can just wait forever. And keep on coming and keep on coming. It's a real primal threat. He reveals that he's cast a spell which will interrupt the spell of the Book of Omens. So Lion-O thinks that he's going to be gone just for a few days, but he's going to be gone for a few years. At least that's how that's what they leave you hanging with. Yeah,
and part of my issue on that end is the ancient spirits of evil and Mum-Ra are very finite in what they're capable of, whereas you'll find out the Book of Omens is crazy overpowered. So they never really properly, to me, explained how Mum-Ra could pull that off, because it doesn't make any sense. Because it overrides a lot of stuff and a lot of established information within the series proper as we're going forward. But you're going to see a lot less of, man, I really like this book, and more of, oh God, why did they do this? What were they thinking? Did somebody give them cocaine? So with that out of the way, do you have any other thoughts on ThunderCats Wildstorm issue 5?
I was happy with the 5-issue series. I'm not sure what to look forward to with the continuation of it, but I'm looking forward to reading more ThunderCats comics in general. And I don't think you can go if I had been like into ThunderCats when this was coming out, I'd have been very happy with these comics. And Ed McGuinness is just a treasure for the comics world.
Yeah, at this point, I was really happy. That's why I was very upset later on. But a few things I do need to address here. Number one, we are looking for new cast members for the ThunderCast. I want to add a couple more people. So hold on here.
Couchboy says, do yourself a favor, Marm. Don't. I think Couchboys has read the future issues you're talking about that you're not a big fan of.
Yes, a lot of these people have, including Carl. But we're looking for a couple more people that are knowledgeable about ThunderCats, that have a vigor to talk about this. And I would like to, see what you're capable of, talk to you, see if you jive well with this podcast. Of course, it's not a paying gig. You do it because we enjoy doing this together. As much as I would like to pay Marmaduke, he just comes out of here because he likes talking about nerd crap. Yeah. So just be aware, we are looking for people. So if you're interested and you know knowledge about ThunderCats, hit me up, Joey. You're always welcome to pop in because you are my dude. But now we're going to move on to talking about what we're going to cover next time on the ThunderCast. Now, the next episode here, let me see. Oddly enough, I don't have all the episodes memorized by timeline here for the most part.
I just watched it too because I watched a few in a row after I did my homework, and I watched.
Oh, it's the Garden of Delights.
This is gonna be great.
It's gonna be fantastic. And since it is Garden of Delights, And since we have just got done with the villain, tell me, chat, would you like us to do an episode on the character of Tigra for the next ThunderCast? Let me know real quick. And of course, we're going to cover ThunderCats: The Return issue 1. And by all means, if there's any... Hello?
Oh, I think you cut off after ThunderCats: The Return issue.
Yeah, issue 1. And if you guys have any idea and a way you think the podcast can improve, whether it be topic or format, let me know. All right. So people want us to cover Tigra. You good with that, Marmaduke?
I'm good with that. Yes, I'm very much looking forward to the Garden of Delights.
Everybody looks forward to the Garden of Delights. If there's an episode that most people remember, it's Garden of Delights. All right.
I won't talk about it. I'll save my comment for when we actually talk about it. Yeah,
I am too, because there's actually some very interesting information about this episode.
From Hear the Roar.
Well, that and also just fun facts about things.
Yeah.
I'll give you one of them. There's an episode of the original He-Man cartoon called Evil Seed, where a plant villain, kind of like an evil swamp thing from DC, tries to destroy Eternia with a giant vegetable garden of sorts. As you can see, it's very plant themed, and so is this episode, right? Well, that's because they were the same writer. So it's interesting that we had a writer from the original He-Man also working on at least one episode of the original ThunderCats. Did I lose you, Marmaduke?
Sorry. I think I'm back. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, at least you didn't disappear out the back door this time. we thought we got hoisted.
My human didn't let me out.
Like, let me out. All right. So does the live chat have any questions, comments, concerns, mockery, or insults here? No, we're not doing Snoop Dogg as Mum-Ra, Jonah Hearts. What's wrong with you?
That's probably directed at me.
Snoop Dogg. Yeah, the last thing I need is Mum-Ra's coffin opening. Snoopity diggity, yo. All right, so we're going to give this one more minute, and then we'll go ahead and call it a night. What is my drive? Ford Fusion. 2014, I think.
I lost that too. Your drive is a dead silence.
So I think I was asked by Jeremy what my drive is, and I said I think it's a Ford Fusion 2014.
Oh, I thought he meant like personal drive. Okay.
I mean, I have a lot of personal drives. Most of it's anger. I just like talking about things that kind of tickle the brain.
Yeah.
I do various different things. Like if I go on with if I go onto a podcast with somebody like Shelly D, we're going to be dissecting things. If I go on with a podcast with Marmaduke, we're going to have fun talking about nerd things.
Yeah.
It all varies. If I go on a podcast with Anthony, I'm probably exposing a pedophile or yelling at somebody for being stupid. So I do a lot of different things.
It'd be interesting for you to try to reach out to any like living people who have been involved in ThunderCats comics, the ones you liked, because you haven't. Oh, okay. Wait a second. What's the one you're making fun that you're not liking? You're not liking Injustice versus He-Man. There aren't any other recent ThunderCats comics, are there?
No, the last ThunderCats comic was the He-Man Thundercat crossover, and I tried communicating with them a little bit on Facebook, and they just take forever to respond to anything.
Yeah.
Take it easy, Samurai Raccoon. I do have Larry Kinney. At some point, I'd love to bring him onto the episode, but I'd like to do that when we cover Lion-O. I want to get a hold of some of the other people here. I sent Bob Camp a message months ago. He saw it, but he never responded. He's probably just busy. I know he still works for Nickelodeon now on SpongeBob.
Wow.
So I'd like to get and it's like I said about a month ago, like one of my biggest regrets is not getting into this earlier.
Yeah.
Like I never once thought, despite how much I love this series, I should do something YouTube related, something social media related for ThunderCats. I never thought of that. So unfortunately, all the years I could have been working on that because I never thought I had the ability to do it. Unfortunately, some of these people have passed, and now I'm going to miss that opportunity. So I'm trying to find people who did work on the show that are willing to talk. but it's going to be a little bit more difficult for me.
You know what I would hope is if there, if the show that shall not, if the reboot that shall not be named prompts people to republish the old comics, there might be an interest in talking about the old comics again. Like if they're doing like a big old, ThunderCats, paperback re-release or something, that might be an impetus for someone to say, hey, I want to talk about those comics again and try to boost the sales on that. So
yeah, real quick here, I've got Couch Boys. The best way to contact me is on Twitter at LioConvoy85. My DMs are open. It may take me a minute to check in my request folder, but that's the best and most direct way to contact me. I'm on Twitter more often than not. While I have a Tumblr, I very rarely check it, and people have learned that the hard way. I am on Facebook too, but I don't give out my personal Facebook information. What do I hope to see it do right as far as the Roar goes? Or about ThunderCats Roar? Anything. I want to see them do one thing right. I don't plan on watching it, but yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, I remember actually Hinata-chan. I don't know how long you've been watching this channel, but I actually have some of these scripts that I believe belong to Steve Perry. I just recently got them. They're scripts from the first 3 episodes. So that's interesting. Just so you guys are aware, I'm going to be partnering here soon with Retro Blasting on their ThunderCats Redux review on the series and the toy line. So look forward to that too. And if you ever get the chance, go look up Retro Blasting on YouTube. They put on great content. They actually know how to put a video together. Michael of Retro Blasting is kind of like me in the sense that he can be a bit like a cactus. He's not a fan of ThunderCats, but he gives it an honest shake. But that man is big on Star Wars and big on G.I. Joe. He's a great guy to talk to. I can't recommend his channel enough. ThunderCast The Return is much darker, Eric Johnson. ThunderCast The Return is what happens when you give a 15-year-old an 80s kid's property and tell him to make it mature.
Yeah.
So
I need lots of blood. And I need slaves.
I need blood. I need implications of rape because that's what a mature story makes because I'm 15 and I only watch Family Guy. And 90s Punisher comics. All right, so unless anybody's got anything else, we'll go ahead and sign off for now. We hope you guys take it easy. Let's see here. They actually don't, Jeremy. I don't think they do. I think that he's just sort of off to the side, but part of that disregarding of Snarf and the characters, a lot of the writers weren't fond of him, so they tried their best to dismiss him in story. I just saw it like when I was watching ahead, I saw another episode where Snarf did something useful and pretty much saved the day again. So once you start looking for it, maybe some of the writers didn't like him, but some of the writers got the point of what a character like Snarf is supposed to be. He's kind of an emotional core. Yeah, he is. And I got a video on that if you guys want to see it, but we're going to go ahead and close out for now. We hope you guys take it easy. Thank you all for joining us. Again, special shout out to my patrons and to join Michael in the chat because he follows my stuff. And I'm always happy to see him in ThunderCats culture. You guys feel free to check out Marmaduke's channel too if you like looking at comics and doing a little bit of the politics talk. I'm not so big on the latter, but I'm done with politics on that channel. I've created like a super secret channel with 100 subs for me to go on crazy political rants. But the number one Marmaduke fan has become entirely an entertainment channel. He's also driving himself crazy on Deltarune, so be aware of that too. You guys take it easy.